All right, we're going to talk about the media in a second, but we were just chatting, Congressman, about the corruption and the foreign interference. You just made a really good point in connection with a bill that is actually trying to clamp down on this foreign government lobbying that you're supporting.
Our good friend Mike Gallagher, congressman from Wisconsin, has drafted excellent legislation. I've joined him in that legislation to reform the process by which foreign actors attempt to interfere with our politics. It's got real teeth, real crackdowns. Even Democrats like David Cicilline have proposed meaningful changes that we're trying to advance. The problem is we'll be so distracted with the bandwidth that impeachment takes up, we won't be able to pass the bipartisan reforms that could actually reduce the ability of foreign entities to affect our political process. It is lunacy. And the problem is the media contributes to this. They are so hell-bent on a high ratings impeachment, and they keep fueling it, that we're not going to be able to do things like pass the USMCA, get infrastructure done, do the things that these Democrats ran on that got them elected in the midterm elections.
Let me make something clear about what the result of this will be. You will never be on the board of Burisma. I think we know that now. And that, in fact, this kind of these kinds of fixes, there is
Ted Lieu might be, though. We'll watch what he does.
It involves money, right? Lobbying money.
So true.
And that money, as you guys have discussed, is going to politicians. They have once again, personal interest in not fixing the problems of this country.
That's right. That's why they want to cover it all up. Can I just... No, go on, Lisa.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, but to some degree that benefits the president, right? Because if you have a lot of these Democrats who won in 2018 and they said, look, we're going to fix health care. We're going to do this. We're going to deliver these promises to you, particularly in those Republican-leaning districts. And then they head into 2020 when the number one narrative for the next year is going to be impeachment. How do those Democrats then try to seek re-election from those voters when they've not delivered on a single promise that they made to them?
And then when they ran on the issues, that was why 18 was a bit of a blowout. The ones that won in those red states, in those Trump districts, talked about health care. They talked about wages and they talked about things, and they are not delivering, and they're not going to deliver. And that again is up to then the opposition campaign, the President Trump's campaign.
Women basically punished them at the ballot box because it was a lot of women who put these Democrat candidates in because they said that they were going to protect health care, they were going to protect American families. And I think that this mean-spirited impeachment could actually erode a lot of the support that Democrats
Americans, the last time we saw something so mean-spirited and unfair was the Kavanaugh hearing. And that injured the Democrats' hopes to also take the Senate. In fact, the Republicans, of course, increased their reach there.
So there's a parallel there with the Electoral College.
So, yes, Americans watch. And if the legacy media thinks that they're controlling what Americans think because we're robots, they're going to have another wake-up call. But there also has to be information that addresses some of perhaps the questionable things that have been either spun or out of context, of some honest talk from the president. He's historically given that to them, and he needs to continue.
Weren't they going to impeach Kavanaugh? Wasn't that like a few weeks ago?
Oh, that probably
that's right. Kamala Harris, I think, was sort of her official position.
I also think from the way that this is all being presented, putting Adam Schiff in charge seems like a really dumb thing. One, he lied about having previous knowledge about the whistleblower.
Could be a helpful thing in some ways.
Well, exactly. Well, for the president, because and then you saw in his opening statement, he completely made up the interaction in the call with President Zelensky as well. So I think Adam Schiff is going to end up screwing this up for the Democrats.
And I add one last thing that I think the Democrats intend. I think they understand the Senate is not going to go with this. But if the impeachment occurs, which it very well may, and it will be inherently unfair, but you'll hear for a year what an impeached president shouldn't be allowed to do. Like, you shouldn't be allowed to nominate a Supreme Court justice, and that everybody who he does announce will then be under a cloud because look who was nominated by an impeached president. It will be a dumb argument, but that's going to be part of what it is they accomplish.
I have a feeling there are certain people who live in the White House who will be fighting back against things like that. All right. As you can see, we did not talk about the media because there are lots of other interesting things to talk about. We're going to talk about it next, especially because there was an absolutely unbelievable moment from Chuck Todd this morning that I really want to share with you. That is coming up straight after this break. Don't go away.